What's happening, fans? Welcome to another episode of Fictional Character Motivation, where we watch, where we talk about movies, where I glean stuff from movies, take information, take in certain scenarios, and see if it can apply to your life to help you improve to get to that next level. My name is Quan, and today we'll be talking about a movie known as The 13th Warrior on Understanding the Other Side. Hope I was doing awesome today. And here we go. 13th Warrior came out in 1999. A Muslim ambassador exiled from his homeland, Ahmad ibn Fadlan, finds himself in the company of Vikings. While the behavior of the Norsemen initially offends him, the more cultured outsider grows to respect the tough, if uncouth, warriors. During their travels together, he and the Vikings get word of an evil presence closing in, and they must fight the frightening and formidable force, which was previously thought to exist only in legend. I really like this movie. I think the beginning of the synopsis doesn't show how interesting it really is, which was Ahmad. He was chosen as one of the warriors to go and fight this evil, thus the 13th warrior. The 12 warriors are the Vikings, but during this feast that they were having, a fortune teller, if you will, foretold of 13 warriors to go and fight this beast. And when you see the scene, you see pretty much all the Vikings are like, being courageous, like, yeah, I'm gonna go over there and do this. Yeah, we're gonna do this. And all of a sudden, there's like a slight pause when she mentions, like, nope, there is another warrior that must go. And it is this guy. You see just kind of the room freeze over and turn to this guy, and it's like, what's going on? It's like, oh, you've been chosen. I'm like, no. And pretty much he has to go over there. Yeah, he didn't really sign up. He had the skills to fight. But you can tell it hasn't been something that he's done daily. He experienced some war, but not as constant as the Vikings have, because But as he lives with this group, as he lives with them, in the beginning, he couldn't understand the Vikings' language and did find their behavior a bit off and a little offensive, but he used a talent of his to where he can read, connect, and decipher languages. It just takes him a little bit of time. So he used these talents on trying to interpret the language until one night, when one of them passively insults him by insulting his mother. He insults the man that insults him back in their language, which angers only one of the Vikings but surprises the rest of them, because it's like, wait, how did you learn our language? After talking with them, fighting with them, and doing some labor work with them, they not only began to accept him as a good warrior, but he accepted them as a friend and allies. There was even a few times during the movie to where he not only showed concern for one of them, but he helped them in a way escape and helped them in a way defeat evil, pretty much. Which, that's what he was, the 13th warrior. And when they completed the mission and they parted ways, they did it as friends. I thought it was a very good, interesting movie to watch. So, what does it take to start understanding the other side, I have some ideas. First off, first thing, listen. With Ahmad's talent, that's all he did to learn the language, to decipher the language. He saw how they acted, he interpreted how they acted, he interpreted how they spoke. And with his gift, he managed to understand the language. And in the movie, that's pretty much what he says when people's like, wait, how did you understand our language? And he spoke with conviction that I listened. I think in most arguments, some people listen to react. They listen and wait until they find out one thing they want to react to, and they'll be like, okay, I'm going to wait till this happens, and they react. Forgetting the fact that you have to completely listen to the other side and then formulate a opinion. George Peterson is known of this tactic to where he will listen and he'll have a slight pause. And that slight pause is when you do it correctly, you can tell it's just like he's interpreting it a little bit. He's letting it digest in his mind before he formulates his opinion. When you're trying to understand anybody, listen to what they're saying, even if it makes you angry. First, listen. Completely listen. See what's going on. Listen. Number 2, when talking, sometimes it's best to talk about similarities first. With Ahmad and the Vikings, they didn't think they had much in common, besides the fact of them being able to wield swords. But during the movie, they pretty much talked a lot about religious aspects. They talked about certain war strategies, certain things. They made jokes to each other. It's good to talk about similarities first. That always breaks ground easy. So 1, listen. 2, talk about similarities. And then 3, work with each other. With Ahmad, his work pretty much came in 2 forms. Either he was fighting with the Vikings, or he was doing manual labor with the Vikings. And most of the time when you do those 2 things, you tend to kind of share certain experiences with somebody. That makes it easier to talk to them. What I would elicit, and this is almost how I would probably go with most things, is if we're trying to find common ground on one side, maybe we should have them do something with that person they disagree with. Whether it is doing physical labor, baking a cake, I don't know, making something. Doesn't really matter. Doing something with that person makes it easier to try to understand them. It even showed in American History X, and this is a good point out, to where we see Edward Norton's character. He pretty much had to do laundry with a black cellmate. And in the beginning, he didn't want to say nothing. He just first gave the look, doing the laundry, and then tossed it. But the thing is, after a while of him hanging with the convict, and the convict's still giving jabs, giving talks, making jokes every single time, eventually he broke. First, he broke with doing something that the black convict didn't agree with. And he pretty much let him know, it's like, yo, that's not how we do this. You have to fold it like this, because if this happens, we got to do all this again. And he finally broke and decided to do it a little bit softer. And then after a while, they started talking about basketball and everything. So I think that is a good way to go to pretty much do work with somebody that you disagree with, that y'all can eventually, after a while, mold over and talk with. And with that being said, I appreciate y'all listening. I hope you learned something from that talk. Remember, if you want to understand somebody, first listen to them. Second, when you're listening to them, try to talk about similarities. And third, if you are trying to talk, if you're trying to break the ice, it might be best to do something with them, work with them, do a project together. With that being said, I'm your host Quan. If you found any of that information good, helpful, a take home, whatnot, if this somehow hits you somewhere, please let me know by liking, subscribing, following, sharing, commenting, all that awesome stuff. Please, please, by all means, do this for me. This is a little bit longer than I usually would, but here we go. And as always, deuces.